Brands surround us, in shops, in advertisements on other people's clothing, and in sponsorship of events or places that we go to. They tell us about the origin of the product and perhaps about its quality. They evoke images and sensations and enable us, by using a particular brand, to say something about ourselves. Brands also make themselves known in disputes about the protection and use. Coca-Cola objecting to the use of their product in a film, the continuing argument about the use of Budweiser for lager, and the dispute between Sky and Skype over registration of the Skype trademark. But what is the legal basis for these brands, their functions, and these disputes? How does the law protect the investment made in brands and the functions they perform? How far should these functions be protected? We will start by briefly considering what we mean by brand. We will then look at the most obvious source of protection, trademarks. These are increasingly three-dimensional or involve movement, but what are the limits to what can be protected? We will also investigate what marks can protect, how much protection they can offer, and how this is changing. Trademarks are not the only way to protect brands and brand images. There are also rules about unfair competition and protection of geographical indications. These are particularly important in the food sector, for example, Scottish wild salmon. Design rights can be used to protect the packaging or web interface used to develop or reinforce a brand's image. We will look at each of these forms of protection in the context of specific case studies which illustrate their scope and limitations. We will then go on to consider some practical issues, for example, the problem of lookalikes and possible difficulties in enforcing any rights which the brand owner has. Finally, we will look at some of the critical perspectives in brand protection, considering whose interests, apart from the brand owners, might be engaged when it comes to protecting brands and how we might balance these different interests. Why might you be interested in this? Well, there are at least two reasons. You might be involved in developing or expanding a brand and want to have some practical understanding of the legal foundations on which that development and expansion can take place. Or you might be interested in when a brand owner can legitimately complain about your use of their brand. For example, using a brand name as an internet search term or using a brand name on social media. This course gives you the legal understanding for both of these and more.